முதல் மெட்ரோ வலதுபுறம் உள்ள கதவுகள் திறக்கும்.
Chennai, India's healthcare, automobile, and filter coffee capital. We love it for its beaches, its well-connected commute options, and many other specialities. It is by far the biggest cultural, economic, and educational center of South India.
However, the city has been in the news lately for the wrong reasons.
Chennai and other parts of Tamil Nadu face an acute water crisis for a third year running.
The situation has reached a crisis point in Chennai.
The worst is already here.
The consequences are huge for millions in the city,
affecting the rich and the poor in the same manner.
Chennai's present water crisis is worse than Cape Town's was last year.
In June 2019, Chennai faced an important checkpoint in its history, experiencing its worst water crisis in 30 years and headed to becoming a zero city. Piped water supply went down to almost 10% of its usual capacity in certain areas. This in turn resulted in normal life being affected. Private hospitals hiked charges, schools shut down, and the anger over water shortage had also spilled out on the streets as fights, theft, and physical abuse. And how did all of this begin? Where did we go wrong?
How can water be a problem in a city of 3 rivers and 300 lakes? Let's take a closer look.
Of all of the world's water, 97% is salty, 2% is the ice at the poles, so all of humankind relies on the remaining 1%, which is the surface water and groundwater. Right from the beginning of times, this water has been the heart of civilizations. The early civilizations of Indus Valley, Egypt, Mesopotamia, China were all formed on the banks of rivers, Indus, Nile, Tigris, Euphrates, and the Yellow River, respectively. Water from these freshwater sources have formed the basis of survival, agricultural planning, war strategies, etc. The origin and disintegration of any civilization has been determined by water. Civilizations that harnessed water thrived while the rest disappeared. And even now, around 90% of the world's population lives less than 10 kilometers from a freshwater source. And in urban areas, groundwater becomes crucial because of the distribution of population.
Groundwater is even more crucial in a city like Chennai, given that 40% of the population is supposedly below the poverty line. These are the people who depend on their hand pumps for water and cannot afford to shell out 2,000 or 3,000 on private water tankers and water cans.
This is why the groundwater recharge structures, the freshwater sources, are vital. However, we have failed to respect these water bodies, and Chennai is paying a heavy price for the reckless destruction of these water bodies, courtesy mismanaged urbanization, dumping, and encroachments. The 4 main water reservoirs that supply drinking water to Chennai went down to less than 1% of storage level. Palikarne marshland down from 7,000 hectares to 685 hectares. The Eri districts, Chennai, Kanchipuram and Thiruvallur, went down from having 6,000 lakes, ponds and reservoirs to just 3,896 now. A study by the Anna University has found that Chennai has lost 33% of its wetlands in the last 1 decade as a result of encroachments. During the same period, Chennai lost 24% agricultural land. This graphic put together by the university's geology department shows the shockingly rapid loss of water bodies in Chennai over the last 60 years. This map graphic, compiled by the Chennai Flood Management Project, shows the water bodies over which now buildings have been built. Here's Velachery and Kodambakkam and Vadapal. Oh, and the 3 rivers? Adayar, Koovam, Kusasthalayar. The 3 rivers are the 3 major misvalued assets of Chennai. They start with a lot of grace in their origins, but that doesn't sustain long enough. The Adayar River once helped in providing for drinking and irrigation. However, now it has become narrow and lifeless due to the overdevelopment around it. Koovam, the Thames of South India, was once considered holy and had a lot of fauna in it, including crocodiles. Now Koovam is considered synonymous to stench everywhere it flows. We've deserted it, have made it a sewage carrier and a dumping vessel. Kusasthalayar, the first and largest river of Chennai in terms of length and width. Yet not many know of its existence. It had been a greater source for farming compared to the other 2 rivers. But today, you wouldn't even see it reaching the Ennore Creek. With all the greed of humans, encroachments, industrial sewage, and illegal sand mining, the river is almost dead now. This is the plight of the three rivers. Less than 4 years ago, Chennai was swamped by floods. The city had paved over the lakes and wetlands that might have helped the process of recharging the water table. As a result, heavy rains couldn't percolate into aquifers under the city. Water pooled and surged above the ground. That reduced the resources available to deal with a crisis like this year. Back to the present. How is the water crisis being tackled currently? Water was being bought with trains and tanker lorries, which isn't a sustainable solution. People were having to pay double or more. What used to cost 1,500 rupees last year had cost 3,000 to 4,000 rupees this year, which is highly out of budget for most families. And also the tankers being inconsistent, people were having to give up other work and stand in queues for long. Still, water wouldn't reach most of the days and they had to wait 3 to 4 days with zero backup plans. An official document estimates that the CMA, Chennai Metropolitan Area, will have a shortfall of 1,089 million litres in 2020. Even assuming that the city continues to experience good southwest and northeast monsoons this year, the gap can only be minimized but not closed. There is an urgent need to increase awareness and act on conservation and wise use of our water. So how do we find a long-term fix for this seasonal water shortage? There are a lot of solutions discussed for dealing with Chennai's crisis, ranging from desalination, interstate transfers, rainwater harvesting, sewage treatment. But what we need the most is proactive, collaborative, time-bound, science-based approaches that are sustainable. Desalination sure is promising, but given the costs and environmental concerns, it is unlikely that Chennai can afford to stretch this option beyond a point. If Water for Chennai has to hinge heavily on nature and interstate ties, it could get disappointing because more often than not, both are unpredictable. Chennai gets about 80 to 85% of its annual rainfall in the time between October and December. This makes it all the more important to store, secure, and manage water more efficiently. It needs to be prevented from misuse and overdrawing by resource-greedy individuals and industries. So where do we start? 4 things: water responsibility, water literacy, water bodies restoration, and water saving. Water responsibility. Metering systems need to be implemented to track usage so that we pay for what we use. From these apartments in Chennai, we learned that a mammoth 30% of the usage can be cut down courtesy such water meters. Water literacy. It's important that we are aware of the lakes and ponds in and around our locality, their inlets and outlets. We should also be aware of where the sewage from our houses go. This awareness would help take action in making sure water bodies are respected in your locality and that sewage, trash, and drainage is not dumped in it. Protection of water bodies plays a key role in both sustaining groundwater recharge and preventing urban flooding. Water reserves need to be revamped, right from reservoirs, lakes, ponds, to rainwater harvesting systems at home. The Environmentalist Foundation of India, EFI, has helped revive more than 40 lakes and ponds in the last year in Chennai.
So most of the methods that we've used come in from the scientific background from UNESCO IHE. We've also invented our own methods like a G-shaped island, which is specifically used for nesting for birds and also clear the water, improve the water quality. Wherever possible, we try to use in situ resources. For instance, the bunds are made from the soil excavated. We don't try to get in cement or stone pitching done to minimize the kind of impact it has on the biodiversity. At the same time, we look at how the local community is being taken care of, how the inlet and outlet are regulated so there's no flooding.
We involve nearby communities to create a sense of ownership among them towards the pond. So we do plantations, maintenance, and wall paintings, as you can see all over, with the help of local community, so that they have a connection towards the pond and the connection between them and the pond is not lost.
So it's a nexus between the community, the biodiversity, and the lake as a whole. So it's not just the lake, but the whole watershed that we need to take care of.
Volunteer with EFI for rapid impact in reviving such water bodies, and check the links in description for more information on setting up rainwater harvesting systems at your homes. At a more individual level, if you're a teacher or principal at a school, it is high time to introduce educational models to teach water saving, conservation, and utilization. What does it mean if you're a builder or engineer who's taking up construction in Chennai? It's time to incorporate efficient grey-water reuse systems in toilets and kitchens. The buildings need to have a robust rainwater harvesting plan. And more importantly, please make sure that you aren't building a house on the lake land. What if you're not a builder or teacher? What can you change as an individual? It could start from as simple a thing as eliminating single-use plastics and moving to reusable steel containers. This way, we can reduce the plastics that get dumped in marshlands and rivers. Leaky loos are one of the most common causes of unexpectedly high water use. Often they aren't easy to spot as the water just dribbles away down the bank. 1 in 20 homes have a leaky loo. A single one of them can waste up to 400 liters of water a day. So it's important to fix them right away. We could opt for bucket baths instead of overhead showers. And if you can't do without them, take shorter showers, because on an average, a shower uses 10 liters of water per minute. And it's better to clean a vehicle with a bucket or two of water instead of a hose or pipe. We could reduce the mopping and sweep more to compensate for it. And we could choose low flow taps in the kitchen. And for vessels that have stubborn stains, soak them in advance overnight before washing. And of course, turning the taps off while washing dishes and brushing teeth can go a long way. Today, our relation with water is very distant. It's very important to recover our historical consciousness with water. Just one bad monsoon had pushed the city to yet another water crisis. This scenario may get repeated in the future as well. A flood or a drought isn't normalcy. These are calamities. An emotional reaction at times of distress is not going to help us any further.
What's happened in Chennai with both the 2015 floods and the water crisis this year, it's clearly not a natural disaster. It's a result of sheer human neglect. It's a man-made crisis. And to get back to being a water-wise city, the responsibility lies on us, the humans, not nature. And if we wish to enjoy what Chennai has to offer, we have to first protect it.
Let's join hands and take action to make Chennai a water-wise city. Jai Hind.